Hey everybody, welcome back. Michigan Outdoorsman here. This is part 2 of the JTS AirAcuda Max. This is my findings on how to get the most power out of this rifle. So I want like a 55 foot-pound air rifle ultimately for this gun. Other guns can make more or less in 25 cal, but for this I would like to see that if I'm going to have a low budget rifle, you can't expect a lot obviously, but I would like to see what the gun's capable of. And right now, out of the box, when you buy this rifle, you can see the pellet leave through the scope. It's just flying slow. It's hitting hard, but it's not hitting hard enough. I've got other guns that are cheaper or just as much that are hitting in that 50, 52 foot-pound range. So I know this gun isn't as much when it comes to power as the other ones, but I'd like to see if it can because it's got the adjustable regulator. So in the first video we did the hammer spring, and I went all the way in, then I went all the way back out, and I found out back out gives you the most power. Well, last night I took off the air tube, adjusted the regulator, and I'll show you how to do that in this video, but my findings are quite unique and I think it's pretty sweet. And it's really simple to do. I looked around, there's not a video on YouTube that shows you how to adjust the regulator that I saw. I just tore the gun apart and figured it out. So let me show you what I got here for air pressure. So right now, I've got the gun filled at 4,000 PSI. I'm not supposed to do that, so don't do what I do. But it does do it. There's no burst discs in this, so it's not gonna blow or rupture anything. And then I got the regulator set at 2,800 PSI. So that's pretty cool. And what I did is I took the rifle barrel band off, took off the threaded cap protector, removed the air tube, went down right where the first gauge is at, that's where the regulator's at, and I backed it out one full turn. Filled the gun up and it went like to 3,500 PSI on the reg, way too much. So I turned it a half turn back in, and that got me that 2,800 PSI on the regulator. So without further ado, we will be shooting through the full range of pellets, but for now, while we're testing for max power, I'm just gonna use my heaviest pellets, which is the FX airgun pellets. Those are 34 grain. We're gonna shoot those through the crony and see what our feet per second is, see if we experience valve lock, and then I'll probably take the action out of the stock and turn that screw back in to see if we need more or less hammer tension, again, to get the best tune for the rifle. So I'm just curious to see what it's gonna do. That regulator pressure is high. I did fill it to 4,000 PSI so I could get the shot count that I want. I don't know how many shots it's gonna give me, but if the hammer spring can overcome the pressure of that valve, then I say we're good to go. So I'm hoping to still get my 20 full shots at full power with 4,000 PSI fill or so, because I can fill that with my carbon fiber tank multiple times, and it's not 4,500 PSI. So without further ado, I'm gonna turn the crony on, load up my mags, and we're gonna shoot the 34 grain pellets only and see what kind of max power, max velocities we're getting. All right, I apologize, my video is blurry. That last clip, I don't feel like redoing it, so sorry. So I have on this sheet of paper here what my shots were in the last video, because I can't remember. But with the 34 grain pellets, I was shooting, 34 right here. I was shooting 788. That was my best speed, 788. So I got a mag loaded up. One's full, one's not. And we're just gonna fire a shot and see what we get. $824 over 788. That's close to 50 foot-pounds, if not, okay? We were at 46, so we've increased 5 foot-pounds with the higher reg pressure. No valve lock, it sounds like, but we might be able to do better with the hammer spring. I'm gonna fire one more. 823, so that's awesome. We're getting really consistent. I'm gonna write that down. socket. 823 and 824. So I'm going to go disassemble the stock now, take it out of the action, take the action out of the stock. And then we will adjust that hammer spring and see if that gives us any more power. All right, so now with the stock off, I've removed the set screw that keeps the hammer spring tight. So I want to keep track of where my hammer spring is though. I got one full thread showing outside of that. So I'm just gonna try to count the turns. I'm gonna go one full turn in. That was a half turn, here's one full turn. 823 was our last shot. Let's see what this one can be. $850. That's insane. Let's see if we can get to 900. I'll do one more full turn. $862. So we're definitely climbing. Another full turn. We're not climbing as fast all of a sudden, so. 862 is the last. $868. So we're almost leveling out. Let me check the reg pressure. So we're at 3,600 PSI. We're still good on a reg, obviously. 868. Let's turn it a quarter turn in and see what that does for us. Yeah, 867. We're not really gaining anymore. I think we've maxed it out. I'm going to go in a full turn again. So we've done 3 1/4 turns. Yeah, 864. So it does not make a difference. So to save the spring from wearing out, I'm going to go out one full turn again. That way that hammer is not always being under such a high tension, and it helps it with its memory. Duplicate, 864. So 864 over 824. Come on, my pens must be freezing up on it. It's probably, I would bet 28 degrees out right now. It's very cold out, so I'm doing this barehanded on metal. It's not exactly the most enjoyable. 858. So I mean we're still staying in there. Now as far as shot count goes, I don't know what we're gonna get. 867. So we're getting very consistent results here. So I'm happy with that. That's over 55 foot-pounds. That's what I've always wanted. Okay, now that we have our power set, I'm going to show you how you adjust the regulator. This is something that I have not been able to find on YouTube. There's nothing in the instruction manual about it, which I really don't read, but I did look at it. I did not see anything about a regulator adjustment, other than it is adjustable. So, we've got the 5mm takedown screw here. This stock happens just to grip the rifle just right. So we get the stock off. We have a degas screw. Right there. That bleeds the air out of the plenum here and out of the air chamber. So let me make sure I go back and focus here. So first thing is we're going to take all the air pressure out. That's a 3mm. Nope, I'm wrong. Maybe it's a 2.5. 2.5 here, 2.5 millimeter. Yep. I want to do it slowly. All right, so our air gun's degassed. We are going to start by removing the fill probe cover. And I tighten my degas screw back up. I'll try to remember to remind you to do it at the end of that if you're following along with your video. But 2.5 millimeter, use that to remove the barrel band. You don't need to take the screw all the way out, just loosen it up. It's a pinch. Clamps. Gently slide it off your barrel. So you don't scratch the finish on it. Yeah, it sounds so groovy. It's that rough texture finish though. From here, no air pressure, you can unthread it. It is so cold. Metal, cold day. I know one of you guys will say I need gloves, and you're probably right, but it's hard to do this with gloves. So there you go, you unthread it. Oh, it's a nice robust metal tube. So that's all you need to do. What I did is I tore the gauge off, I tore this out, the plenum, I tore it out this. You don't have to do any of that. I went all the way down to here just to see what it was, how it was built. But essentially, you look down in there, you got that brass piece. Let me focus on that. Brass and steel. That brass is what you turn. That's the regulator adjustment. That's the regulator itself, is a whole steel and brass piece. That screw, it's a 3 millimeter. Stick that in there and you turn it. So what I did, let me bring you back into focus because I always seem to forget to do that. What I did is I went a full turn out, and that got me like 3,500 PSI, 3,000, I can't remember. I didn't really actually watch it fill all the way up. I just knew it was going past what I wanted it to be at. So I degassed the rifle, took the tube back off, came in a half a turn. And this is all from factory, mind you. So full turn out, then a half turn back in. And I got at 2,600 PSI and I just left it. So that's where we're at right now, is 2,600 PSI on the reg. Now, having this apart, having all that apart, I noticed there was no burst discs in this rifle at all. And I thought to myself, well, with the regulator at 2,600 PSI, you're gonna have 5, 6, maybe 10 full shots, full power shots. To me, that's too low. I like to hunt, and if you're shooting at a squirrel on the run, or you got a woodchuck ducking down in this hole after you missed or something like that, you need to have fast follow-up shots and plenty of them, especially if you're gonna hunt all day too. I don't wanna go run back and forth. Now I carry my carbon fiber tank to refill, but I've seen other people on YouTube fill this to 3,500 PSI, and I've done it myself. So I went to 4,000, then I went to 4,300. The gun seems to handle it just fine. Now, is it recommended? Absolutely not. So if you do that, know that you're voiding your warranty and you could potentially ruin your gun, okay? Keep that in mind. These seals may not be able to withstand that pressure. Personally, I'm gonna stay at 4,000 because I think the gun can handle it. I am not an expert by any means, but I have already spent time with this rifle enough. I've actually kept it charged at that PSI for quite a while to see what would happen. And everything seems to be fine. The hammer spring's got no problem, even at 4,300 PSI. No problem. This is a really robust material. I'm no metal expert, but I do know a little bit about it just for what I do working in a machine shop. I know quality components, and this rifle's built very well. So that being said, I'm keeping mine at 2,600 PSI in the reg, and I'll probably always fill at 4,100 PSI. That will allow me to refill this plenty of times off my carbon fiber tank, which is set at 4,500 PSI. So I can shoot and refill this gun multiple times. So after you got your regulator set to where you like it, you can do whatever you want. You throw this back on, make sure there's plenty of oil on the O-ring. Like I got some, what is it? It's chamber lube, I think, or something like that. RWS chamber lube. but you want to use a good oil made for air guns on these O-rings. You could probably use like an all-purpose grease too, I would think. You should be allowed. It's not gonna hurt it, I wouldn't think. But I've never done it, so that's your call. Throw it back on, be careful not to destroy the threads. It really is that simple. I mean, I'm blown away by how simple it was. I wish there was an external adjustment, that way it'd just be so much easier for everybody else. But they probably don't want you adjusting it, maybe. Or maybe only experienced people, I don't know, why they would have it adjustable but then hide it. Why would you do that? Probably for costs as well, I guess, because you have to machine more parts or have it machined differently to have an external. So when I'm tightening this up, keep in mind these gauges can turn on you, okay? They lock in position by this tension to here and this plenum tension to here. So you want to make sure things are snugged, but before you do that, these gauges are in line. They're not, one's not offset of the other. The stock's got plenty of big enough holes around these to accommodate for a little bit of it being off, but if it's too far off, you won't be able to fit it in the stock. So keep that in mind. I get this snug, put the barrel band back on, nice and gentle. You want to be careful because the barrel is actually pulled down by this a little bit. So I don't like to have this barrel leaning on anything or the air tube leaning, because it might cause the barrel and the air cylinder to do this little number. And so you have a barrel pulling left or right. You don't want to do that. So I just let it stick on there and I let it float like that. 2.5 millimeter again. And I snug it. No downward pressure so you don't offset the two. But if you hold it back here where it's solid, you know, you're right above it, that should allow the barrel to have its natural lay forward. Now, I already did this, but make sure you do this. Tighten that screw back up. You'll know you didn't because you'll hear it hissing out. So that's how you adjust your regulator. Super, super simple. I really like that. So I'm happy with where I'm at. My gun right now is at 56 foot-pounds of energy with the heaviest pellets I have. We're gonna put this gun back together, fill it back up with air, and we're gonna shoot our pellets again. Probably 3-shot groups just to show you guys what heaviest to lightest pellets will do in this air rifle. And then I'll make another video again later about accuracy with this rifle. We are back with the air gun filled back up after I just put the rifle back together. I filled it back up. This time we're at 4,300 PSI. I just wanted to show you guys that it could do it, okay? So just so I'm no liar, okay? Don't ever do it, and I probably won't again, but maybe I will. I'm curious to see what our shot count's gonna be like. So, to try to save time on the video, I'm going to shoot 3 shot groups of all these pellets, and we're gonna record the foot-pounds of energy and velocity for you, and I'll edit that on the screen there. And we'll wrap up our video. But I'm very happy with this rifle. I will be doing a comparison test with the 25 cal Umerix Gauntlet. These two rifles, those two rifles, are identical in price, almost identical in weight, except the Umerix Gauntlet has a non-adjustable regulator, and it's set at 2100 PSI, and it's got a 4500 PSI fill, where this has got the 3200 PSI fill, adjustable regulator, adjustable hammer spring. The Umerix Gauntlet's got none of those adjustments. So much more tunable package here for the same price. I would go with this personally, but the Umerix Gauntlet's got like 80 shots to a fill. The shot count's high, and then it gets, I think, about the same amount of foot-pounds of energy as this gun does. So it's actually a better rifle. It's really what I should be choosing, but I like the way this looks. I like the durability of this rifle. This rifle's better balanced. There's just a lot of pros to this rifle over the Umerix Gauntlet, which I'll get into in another video. But for now, we'll load up 3 of each. We'll shoot them to the Crony here, and I will show you guys what the gun's capable of. So up first is 34 grain FX pellets. .841. 849, 845. Now we're doing the Exact King Heavy Diablos. Those are 33.95 grains, basically the same weight, but the pellet profiles are different. So one might contact the barrel with more surface area than the other, so you might get a reduced or increased velocity. $8.44, $8.43. Oh, they're smacking that steel heavy. I love that. $8.45. I mean, these are identical velocities, identical weight pellets. So now we're doing the H&N Hunters, Barracuda Hunters. These are a lot lighter, so we should be able to see, I would hope, 900 feet per second out of these. But maybe not. And then the atomics. So these Barracuda Hunters are 27.47 grains. $9.03. Yep. You can tell it's not hitting the steel as hard though. $9.04. $9.01. The standard deviation between shots is less than a rim fire. Okay, moving on. FX air guns, these are the atomics. 26.6 grains. A little over a grain lighter than the Barracuda Hunters. $9.11. Duplicate, $9.11. Probably a bad thing. Duplicate number 2, $9.11. That was 3 shots in a row, exactly the same. That's insane. Let's check the reg. We shot 3, 6, 9, 12. We aren't at 3,000 yet, so we might still be able to get the full shot count. Of course, I filled a 4,300 PSI. I mean, you gotta keep that in mind. And I am loving this. I am very happy. I am very happy with this gun. I can see these pellets literally exploding on steel. They're just like fragmenting everywhere. It's just annihilating. They're literally exploding. So I'm loading up 3 of the Hades, which are basically the same thing as the FX Atomics. They're about a grain lighter. Then I'm doing the Diablo Field from Air Arms. These are my lightest pellets. So the Hades are 26.54 grains, literally like a tenth of a grain lighter than the FX. So we had 911, let's see what these do. $9.08. $9.11. And $9.14. Check the regulator again. We should be able to do it. We're getting close. So these are the Diablo Fields. These are 25.4 grain pellets. These are my lightest. I'm hoping to see about 930 out of them. $9.21. $9.23. $9.21. So there you have it. Let's look at my paper I got. So before we even touch the regulator, those light pellets were shooting at 871 is the highest I could get those pellets to go. So we just increased that 50 feet per second easily. Almost, you know exactly. So, and then the heaviest pellets, the 34 grains, we're shooting at 788. Now we got them at 864. So That's what is good. That is what is possible with this rifle. To be honest, and I know I'm always unhappy, it sounds like, but I would love to see 980 with these light pellets. I think that'd be a nice feet per second. That would keep those light pellets at about 50 foot-pounds of energy. Right now, these are probably coming in at 47, 48. I'm gonna guess. I don't even know. I don't know how to calculate that fast in my head. But yeah, that's what this gun's capable of. I'm very happy with it. I will be doing comparison tests with it later, and I probably will leave the regulator right where it's at. If I don't, I'll let you know. But thank you guys for watching. Please subscribe and like my content. If you have any questions on this air rifle, let me know. If you need to see another video of how to do something, let me know. I'll happily work with you. So yeah, thanks for the continued support.